Hi everybody, it's Christina from Adventures in Polished Land, and today I'm here with a book haul. I recently went to New York City, and although my primary purpose in going to New York was to see as many Broadway shows as I possibly could, the number was 9, by the way, it was incredible. But of course I had to stop in a bunch of bookstores, and I have a nice stack here of books that I purchased, and I thought I would share them with you. First up, I went to Book Off, which is one of my favorite used bookstores ever, although I will say this time I was a little discouraged because the prices did significantly go up, but there are still deals to be found. And I got 3 books there. The first one is All of Kitteridge, which was $5. This is by Elizabeth Strout. I have been wanting to begin the journey of reading from this author, but from what I understand, a lot of her stories are interconnected and characters show up in later books. So I wanted to start near the beginning, and I believe this is the series that kind of kicks things off. Please correct me if I'm wrong, though. I am currently reading this book. I started it as soon as I got it because I finished what I was reading on the train to New York City. So this was a perfect pickup, and this one is set in the state of Maine, so it will count for my American Lit Reading Challenge, where I read a book set in every single U.S. state and territory. So I'm excited to be reading this. Then I picked up Brooklyn by Colm. This was also $5, and I have heard Greg over at Supposedly Fun talk about this book and this author as a whole a lot, and he has really great things to say about them, so I was really excited to find some of their books at this bookstore, and this one was a great price at $5. I don't really know anything about this book, but it looks like it's about Irish immigrants who come to Brooklyn in the 1950s, so it should be an interesting read. And the last book I got from Book Off, I feel like I overpaid for it, but in all honesty, I think it was a fair price because it is We Do Not Part by Han Kang. This was $19, which for a used bookstore is a lot of money, but this is a hardcover. The original price was $28, and this is a newer release, I believe. Yeah, this was released in 2025 and it won the Nobel Prize, so it's definitely a coveted book. And I read The Vegetarian by this author and it was weird. It still haunts me. There are scenes in that book that live rent-free in my head even though I don't want them to, but I really want to check out some of her other books because I know she is a revered author. And this one is translated by Yewan and Paige Anaya Morris. I know I mentioned recently I really want to make sure I am shouting out the translators of my books that I get because some publishers are switching over to using AI for translation, which I am not okay with, and I want to make sure that our human translators get the attention they deserve. So I look forward to reading this book. I'll be honest, I know nothing about it, but I wanted to read it because of the author. So I was happy to pick this up despite the high price. Next up, I went over to Kinokuniya, which is in Bryant Park, and it's not that far away from Book Off. Actually, you could easily walk there. And I decided that I was going to buy this book. This is on the calculation of volume number 1, and I am realizing, looking at the author's name, I did not look up how to pronounce their name, so I will leave it in the description box below, and I apologize for that. I should have been more prepared, but this is translated by Barbara Havland. This, I believe, is going to be a 7-book series, and I think it is a sci-fi novel in which our protagonist is trapped in a time loop, and she keeps living the same day over and over and over. And that sounds really intriguing to me, and I've heard incredible things about this series, and I've been wanting to start it for quite some time. I have been keeping my eye out for used copies, but they are pretty hard to find, so I decided, you know what, I'm on vacation, I'm going to buy a brand new copy, and I did. This one was $15.95, And I look forward to reading this, and if I enjoy it, I will continue on with the series. And then finally, I went to Sweet Pickle Books, which is a bookstore that you may have guessed sells both books and pickles. In fact, I heard about this on Instagram years ago, and I think it is a system wherein you can bring your books in to trade for a jar of pickles, but you can also buy the pickles outright. And they have a lot of really cute merch. This is a small kind of hole-in-the-wall bookstore in the Lower East Side, right near Chinatown, and I was happy to go. The prices of the books were a little more expensive than I would like for a used bookstore, but they did have a rack of books for free. I noticed some Dan Browns on there specifically, and they had a good selection of books, even children's and YA, which can be hard to find at used bookstores in my experience. I picked up 2 books there. The first one is We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. This is a classic that I feel like so many people love. I paid $12 for it. And I know Ariel Bissett has been talking about this book and this author and really enjoying both. So I'm excited to finally have this in my possession so I can read it when I'm ready. And this is just a really eerie cover, so I'm happy to have it. And then the other book that I picked up while I was there is Sputnik Sweetheart by Haruki Murakami. I have only read one Murakami book before, and it's The City and Its Uncertain Walls. However, I have another one on my bookshelf over there. I believe it's called, I'm trying to read what it is from this distance. I believe it's The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, and it's in the same edition as this book. I don't know what it's called. The vintage edition, maybe? I think it's the Vintage International Edition, but it's a really pretty cover, and I figured maybe I can collect these when I am out used book shopping and have a Murakami set in these very nice paperbacks. And this one was also $12, and I know nothing about this book other than it was written by Murakami. I will say this is translated from the Japanese by Philip Gabriel. And in this book, there are a couple tabs from its prior owner, as well as a cute little sticker, so I thought that was fun. So that is my 6-book haul from New York City. 2 bookstores I really love, and a brand new to me bookstore that I've been wanting to visit for a while. I always love going book shopping in New York. They just have so many great independent bookstores. I would love to hear your favorite in the comments below. On this trip, I did not make it down to the Strand, but that is one of my all-time favorites. I used to shop there a lot when I was a student in the city, and I also really like Mercer Street Books, which is an amazing used bookstore where the books are piled from floor to ceiling. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this book haul, and I would love to hear your bookstore recommendations in the comments below. Bye!